Oh my God, everybody. You will not believe the guest that we have tonight. Welcome to Tales from the Crawl Space podcast. And I, of course, am Brad Harvey, Supreme Overlord of Pest Control Humor Depot, my favorite group. And we have a plethora of guests tonight. But let's start off with my good buddy Jack. We're going to go age before beauty here. And so, Jack, how's it going, man?
Hey there, hi there, ho there. I'm doing good. How are you, my
You're as
friend?
welcome as can be.
Excited for the show
Outstanding.
tonight. Very
Uh,
excited for the show tonight.
so am I. And with me on the screen down below is none other than the First Lady of Pest Control Humor Depot, Ms. Paula Benedict. Paula, how you doing?
Cheese Bag Nation.
Awesome. Awesome. Paula, as always, it is great to have you here. And it's actually
Oh
great to
yeah.
actually be able to see you this time as you've finally been able to work the bugs out of your technology issues. And so we get a glimpse of you not singing, and we're just happy to have you here. You know, and one of the reasons Paula is here is to act as kind of a babysitter for me and Jack because I want to talk. Tonight's show is about something that is revolutionizing what we do out there in the pest control industry, and it is a pleasure to introduce Dr. Paula Jenkins, or I'm sorry, Dr. Nina Jenkins. Okay,
Nina, what you
I
doing?
got Paula on the brain here. Dr. Nina Jenkins is with us tonight.
I
And
told you,
for
fuck it
those of
up.
yeah, you did. You're right. You're absolutely right. I did totally fuck it up. But Dr. Nina Jenkins, to those of you who don't know, she is the chief technical officer and co-founder of Kinetiotech. And Kinetiotech is the ones that bring us the one and only Aprehend Bed Bug Treatment. And we're gonna be able to drill into that tonight and be able to ask her all kinds of questions. So, Nina handles the technical service, the treatment protocols, regulatory affairs, and advises on the product development, production, and quality control in collaboration with Giovanni Bellicanta. Nina has worked on biopesticide development for over 20 years, and she's been a key member of research team that developed a biopesticide called Green Mussel that they're using in Africa for locust and grasshopper control. And we are incredibly excited and still in utter disbelief that we got her on the show. Dr. Jenkins, Nina, it's great to have you here.
Hi, I'm so thrilled to be here. I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah,
And I hear you've
half
got
as
some
Fantastic.
thrilled
tough
as we are.
questions for
So,
me, so I'm really looking forward to it.
yeah, I'm hoping you have some questions for us as well too. So, I understand that, we really appreciate you being here. I know your schedule's pretty tight. You're getting ready to head out of the country, and for a little bit of R and do some other stuff, and actually spread the gospel about Apprehend. Um, on the Facebook group Pest Control Humor Depot, we've talked. There's been several posts about Apprehend and what it does, and I think Jack and I and Paula thought it would be great to hear it from right from the source. So, and Nina, can you tell us a little bit about how the whole thing started, as far as it's one of those things that we as pest control technicians and professionals don't think about. Our thing has always been some sort of nerve agent to kill things, or as far as rodents, so we're gonna chemically induce hemophilia in them and things like that. This is totally off the reservation for us. So, could you give us a little idea of how the concept of Apprehend came about?
Yeah, well, so I guess people always think maybe I'm an entomologist, but in reality, I'm an insect pathologist, and that means I just study the diseases of insects. So there are a number of insect diseases. There are viruses, there are bacteria, there are fungi, and my specialism has always been in the fungi. So, and I think they're probably the most common pathogens, that's disease causing agents of insects that that there are. And fungi aren't really a problem for humans. There are hardly any human diseases that are caused by fungi. That, what have we got? We got athlete's foot, right? There's ringworm.
I was going to say I have a couple toenails that would disagree with you, but yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
toenail fungus. So yeah, there's a few of those. They're not very serious, and they've got nothing to do with the fungi that infect insects. So I've been working for like over 30 years on using these fungi to address insect pest problems. So the key really is how you deliver them so that the insect pest comes into contact with them and then acquires the disease. So what it takes is some clever formulation so that you get those fungal spores stable and able to remain in the environment or on the surface where you applied it for a long period of time. And then to work with the biology of the pest to understand where the pest is going to be and whether it's going to come into contact with the the application that you've done. So that's really been our job. And I started out in the locust business. We developed a very similar fungal product for locusts and grasshoppers, and based on the success of that and the fact that you could use an oil formulation and actually get infection of locusts and grasshoppers in the desert using this formulation, it became pretty clear that we could apply this kind of technology to other pests. And that's what I've been working on for a number of years. But when a student brought in some bed bugs and say, "Hey, do you think we might be able to control bed bugs with this technology?" We gave it a go in the lab, and it worked better against bed bugs than any other insect that I had tried previously. It worked faster. It was 100%, and I really couldn't believe the results. I was just thinking, wow, this is amazing. And then as I started learning about what the issues were with bed bugs, why people were having trouble controlling them because there was no residual activity of the chemicals, because bed bugs hide and they're really inaccessible. You can never find 100% of the population. I began to realize that this really could be a key to controlling them, because we knew we had a long-term residual, and we also knew that it's quite often that when an insect gets covered in these spores, they will go back to where the other insects are. And with respect to bed bugs, they definitely harbor in the same areas. They all huddle up together, and that spreads the spores. So in fact, the bed bugs, when they become exposed to the fungus, that actually take the spores back to their harborage. So we discussed this with the intellectual property guys in Penn State, and they said, "Oh, this sounds like this could be patentable. You should definitely write a patent on this." So, which we did, and we were trained in entrepreneurship, and we were permitted to license our technology back, which was like, really exciting, because it meant that we could change from being just academics looking for solutions to actually getting that solution out into the field. And that's been what we've been doing since 2014. But it wasn't until 2017 that we were able to actually, we got registration for the product and we were able to launch it. So yeah, it's still relatively new, but we've come a long way since 2017. And
Exactly.
it was
And
it was quite a journey.
and speaking in terms of the timeline, 2017 to now, that's only 7 years, and that is that's one of the things that we struggle with is getting new technology out to the other. A lot of PCOs will do what they've always done. And this is, I mean, the technology and the treatment techniques and whatnot for the application of Aprehend basically flies in the face of everything that we've been doing ever since bed bugs have been becoming an issue again over here in this hemisphere. And to actually, you had mentioned the fact that we can't get to all of the harborages and where they're hiding and whatnot. And Aprehend being a product that we can use to apply in some of the areas where they travel from harborage to host is just incredible. Speaking as an older guy, I've been in the business for 32 years, and the fact that we can spray baseboards again has just really been exciting to me.
Baseboard jockey.
I'm a baseboard jockey. That's right. And we have a song about that, but you'll probably hear it as you scroll around. Though. But anyway, as to the technology itself, I'll give you a scenario. Just last week, I went to I had closed on a sale for a bed bug treatment with Aprehend, and during the process of selling this to the customer, I typically what I do is I will once I go in, I identify the issue, and then I let them know I have a plan. So I go through the three different techniques that we have right now. Being the first one being chemical applications, the second one being a treatment, and then the third one, of course, being biological with Aprehend. When I got to the biological part, the Aprehend part of it, this guy, he asked, he was like, I said, we're using it's a fungus that's called Bovaria bassiana. And he goes, you mean this? And he grabs this bag of dry powder that he got off of Amazon, which is Bovaria bassiana. And I was kind of at a loss. So basically what I told him was it's not mostly the active ingredients, it's how it's applied and what the carrier is. You need there needs to be a thing there where when you apply it, it actually sticks to the surface instead of just dropping off. If you mix it with water, it may just, you're not going to have the desired result with this. And besides, it ain't labeled for bed bugs. So, so was I very far off the mark?
You said it perfectly. I mean, absolutely. And we hear about this quite frequently. The product is called Botanigard, right? And actually, it's the exact same fungus. It comes out of the same fungus factory as we use. But yeah, Aprehend is all about the formulation. And even then, you have to know how to apply it. We've got a little motto at Canadia Tech, and we say, we guarantee poor results if you do not watch our training videos.
I like that.
Because if you don't understand how to use it, you will still fail. So we don't sell to the general public, and that's why they're scrambling around the internet trying to buy Botanigard and do it themselves. And then they still end up calling you, right? So
that's what we struggle with out here in the professional field is you can get a lot of the active ingredient in different products, but a lot of times they're not formulated properly and they're not labeled for the pests that they're trying to get at. We find that a lot with a lot of products. There was one product a long time ago that they applied to cotton fields, and it was killing damn near everything that it touched. And people were actually putting it inside, and people were getting really sick. Some people were dying and stuff. And I can't remember the name of it because I just blocked it out of my mind because it's just so tragic. But that's the issue that we run into. Is the public access to the stuff. The fact that Aprehend itself is limited to pest control professionals and everything is really a plus. Yes, Jack.
I was wondering, being that I'm completely ignorant about, I got out of the business before this became a thing. Being that it's a biologic and not a synthesized pesticide, does it have an EPA registration number? Does it need an EPA registration number?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And that's what held us up. Yeah. We had to go through the whole EPA registration process.
Okay.
So, yeah, safety, efficacy, because for human health pests, which bed bugs are classed as that, you have to actually demonstrate efficacy. If you develop a product for aphids and whiteflies, you don't have to demonstrate efficacy because the EPA say, oh well, the market will decide. But if you're doing something for human health, then you have to demonstrate efficacy as well. So that EPA registration was hard, because we had to generate so much data and go through the whole, process of submission and waiting for their decision. But it's well worth it, and it means a lot. So 25B products don't have to do that. And I'm not saying they don't work, but they don't
Mm-hmm.
have to go through that rigorous sort of, evaluation. They're certainly safe because they can only use things that are supposed to be safe. But
Right.
as far as efficacy is concerned, they are not held to the same level.
Well, I noticed there was some natural stuff that some people have used out in the field, and it has the smell like it aligns your chakras type of thing. It smells really nice. It's not worth a squat, but that doesn't have one. They're like, well, you could actually drink this stuff. I know you obviously don't want to drink anything that's meant to kill something. Obviously
Right.
not. But it's the type of natural thing that it didn't require an EPA registration number, and that's why I was curious, being that it was more of a natural element as opposed to something synthesized like a pyrethroid or something like that. So that's why I asked. Being ignorant on the whole thing, I figured it was a relatively smart question from an idiot.
Yeah. No, we love the fact that we have the EPA registration now. It might have been dreadful going through the whole thing, but now we've got it. It's an important element for us.
Oh, definitely.
It is. It's a badge of approval, basically. It's like they've done they've looked into it, they've researched it, and it's like, all right, you're good. And so that's really cool. A lot of some I don't want to monopolize the show. We do have some questions from our cheese bag listeners and some other folks. And Paula, you want to write? You got a couple?
Yes, I do. In fact, let me go back to it. Okay, so this one gentleman asked, he thinks you're fantastic, of course. Um, he said, would you ask her if there's any sense in making applications of Apprehend in 30 or even 60-day increments, or if it's just as effective to allow the full 90 days? So
Right.
right. So basically, like in my little brain, when I go back at the 30-day mark, I'm seeing, did I miss something? I'm not perfect. I'm not going to get it all the first time, but I'll probably reapply in areas that I felt like, oh man, you forgot that light socket, or stuff like that. So that's where his question's being directed. I mean,
Yeah. So yeah, Apprehend does have this up to 3 months or up to 90-day residual efficacy. So that is really useful if you're offering proactive control, like in an Airbnb or a hotel or whatever. You can apply the product and it will work there for you for 90 days. And if somebody brings in a bed bug, they're going to get infected rather than establish an infestation. You can't prevent introductions, but you can prevent establishment. When we're talking about controlling an existing infestation, it's that 30-day follow-up that is key, because what we assume is once you've put down the barrier, we also recommend vacuuming first, because that gets rid of most of the bed bugs, and that's your quick knockdown. Now we're going to address the bed bugs that are hiding. So put that barrier down. Over the next 30 days, you will expect first instar bed bugs to hatch and cross the barrier when they're looking for a blood meal. You'll expect anything that's deep into closets or, away from the person, particularly in high level infestations. The bed bugs spread quite far away, don't they? So sometimes it takes them a while to get stimulated to feed, and they'll then come over and cross the barrier. So if we allow that whole biology of the bed bugs to play out, 2 weeks for an eggs to hatch, and then the first instars have to find their way to a blood meal and then get infected and then die, because the infection process takes between 3 and 10 days. So that 30-day period allows all of that to happen. So when you go back, you should see no live activity. And if there is live activity, it suggests that there's a reason, why they're not all dead. So it could be, like you said, Paula, that you missed something, but
right.
more likely it's your client did something. And we can talk about things that clients do, because fantastic list of things that clients do to screw with your application.
Amen.
At that 30 days is when you are going to discover what it is that they've done. And you've got to be the detective and you've got to find out. But yeah, any live activity, we then say, yeah, absolutely retreat. But we also, advocate for treating according to the level of infestation. So, Deanie Miller uses this term, assessment-based management. And it means, treat according to what you see. So if you've got a really low level infestation, you don't need to spray baseboards, by the way, if you've got a low level, because they're really just around the bed or wherever. Sorry, I had to put that in. But when you've got high level infestation, yeah, they're behind the baseboards, they're behind the windows and door moldings. Yeah, absolutely. Spray the baseboards, be the jockey, go around everywhere, because you're going to intercept them when they emerge from their harborage. So when you do that 30-day follow-up, again, you're going to say, okay, well, most of it's gone, but we've got these areas here, so this is where I'm going to put it. But primary barriers go around the blood source. That's the person. So it's around the bed, it's around the sofa, the recliner, those sorts of areas. That's where you really need to be applying. And then you spread out from that area according to the level of infestation, because the bed bugs are mostly close to the people.
Okay,
Amazing.
Brad, do I get to do one more? Brad's muted. You're muted,
Can't hear
Brad.
you, Brad.
Everybody can hear you. Okay, so
Okay, there you go. Well, somebody was complaining that they heard me clicking on my phone, so I had to shut off my mic. But anyway,
okay.
one of the questions that I had was answered in regards to B&Bs and whatnot. So that's cool. So yeah, Paula, ask away.
Okay, so this one we all kind of discussed early on. So we're going to ask it, Nina. So I know for me, and I still have my days where I'm not confident at all. I'm not confident it's going to work. I'm doing something wrong. I can't talk to the client. But watching video after video and reading all Don's emails and constantly just constant research, you start to gain the confidence, right? In selling the product, in doing and applying, to talking to your client. So I feel like a lot of people don't use Apprehend because they don't know what to say to the client, right? To make them feel like, okay, we're going to do this, but you got to stay the bait. You got to let them chew on your body the whole time, and people start freaking out. So
Yep.
that's where I feel like, when I talked to somebody, they had said, I said, well, I'm going to ask Nina, I'm going to say, Nina, you are a technician. You are a low level technician and you're being sent to a brand new house. Just kind of talk us through what you would say when you walk in that door and you're selling this Aprehend treatment. Just tell us what you would say.
Good morning, madam.
Not
I
after
hear you
done.
have a little problem with bed bugs. I'm here to help. But seriously, yeah. So so there are options when you are addressing a bed bug infestation. And you've got heat and fumigation, and only some companies do that. And these are the kind of treatments that are going to get rid of the problem overnight, but they are extremely expensive. So not every client can afford that, and not every company is going to be able to offer that. But that is one thing that you can say. The issue with heat and fumigation is that it leaves no residual. So if your client was to leave you to do that job with their handbag or purse or whatever you call it, full of bed bugs, or even just a couple of bed bugs, when they come back home, bed bug free house, and they have brought the bed bugs in with them, then there's no residual to protect them from this reestablishment of a population. So if you do those, I still recommend a residual. Obviously, I would say use Aprehend. It's the best thing you could do, and that will give you that 3-month protection. Should those bed bugs come back in with anybody or items. So that's one thing. Then if we're not dealing with these immediate sort of whole house treatments, then we've got a chemical protocol or we've got the biological protocol. And the chemical protocol generally requires more frequent service visits, more disruption. And I would hope that even if you're using a chemical, you're not asking your clients to do huge amounts of prep. I mean, this idea that you have to empty out every single drawer, every single dresser, all of the clothing out of the closets, wash, dry, high heat, bag everything up until the bed bugs have gone, live out of these bags for the 3 treatments, all of this is really, really bad. But, if that was your protocol, then Aprehend is going to be a hell of a lot easier to sell, because
Exactly.
now, madam, all you need to do is accompany me while I inspect your house. I need to see the level of infestation here, and I'm going to be looking in your bedding, looking around the bed to see how extreme the bed bug infestation is, and I'm going to bag up the bedding after doing that and ask you to dry that at high heat. Other than this, I'm not going to require you to do anything other than to obey my rules when I have left. And you need to live normally. So we don't want people to disrupt their lives. We want them to come back with their bedding having been dried at high heat to remove the bed bugs, and to live completely normally. Now, this has got to be better than the chemical protocol, right? You're going to live normally. And
Exactly.
it's very important that you sleep in the same bed. What I will have done as part of my service visit is vacuumed every bed bug that I could see. This is going to reduce the population by over 90%, but the 10% that I can't get to are going to emerge if you behave normally. When you sleep in your bed, you emanate carbon dioxide, and that carbon dioxide is what gets the bed bugs moving. And when they come out of their harborage and they move, I will have put barriers in their place to ensure that they pick up our biological product. They will become infected, and they will also take it back to their harborage and spread it to each other. This process could take up to 30 days. And in that period of time, I'm not going to disturb you at all. But what I promise you I will do is come back at 30 days and completely evaluate your situation and ensure that the bed bugs have been completely eradicated. And if they have not, we'll do a second application. When I leave, you need to stay out for 4 hours after I've left. When you come back in, anything that you put on your bed must be bed bug free. And this includes any items that you may often take to bed, like a Bible. If that Bible has bed bugs in it and you fall asleep or you leave it in the bed, it will reinfest your bedding, and those bed bugs can live and feed on you without ever coming into contact with our product. So please make sure that anything that goes onto the bed is bed bug free, and live normally. And other than that, we will solve your problem with as little hassle and as little disruption as we can.
That's
Okay.
amazing.
But
That was beautiful, man.
That's amazing.
That's beautiful. Now, and you touched you touched on a lot of points that I do with it. As far as allowing the 30 days, take it. As far as the prep and whatnot. Because one of the things that really sells it for me when I'm out selling it is the prep issue. Chemical treatments. I mean, conventional chemical treatments still do require a lot of prep. Heat treatments. Oh my gosh. I mean, anything that can melt or explode has to be out of the house. You have to, you have to, and even us, when we do heat treatments, we still toss a little bit of chemicals in there every now and then. So the switch plates have to come off. Electrical outlet plates. All this other stuff. Clear out your dressers, clear out your closets, all this other good shit. And but with Aprehend, I just tell them, I say, you don't have to do that. I said, if you can get your closets to a point where I can take the stuff that's hanging, move it out, do some treatment here, move it the other way, do what I need to do over here, and then put it all back. Your dressers, if you're anything like me, you've got dressers that you open halfway up, and that's as far as they go because you got so much crap crammed into them. Just thin them out a little bit, so I can do what I got to do. I can inspect, I can treat if I need to, and take care of it. And it's that really appeals to the majority of the customers. Especially if this is not their first time at the rodeo as far as bed bugs are concerned. And, especially when somebody has gone through a heat treatment and for whatever reason, they've been reinfested. The Aprehend treatment is just so appealing to them. And, it's just, to me, it's a matter of talking to them properly, telling them what's going to happen, and just make sure that's something that they want to hear, and it can it works out really well. So you touched on a lot of points that I've already been doing, Nina. So that's great.
Cool. I'm glad to hear it, Paula.
Yeah.
Okay, here's what I always hear: the freakouts. What am I going to do between 3 and 7 days while these bugs are coming to my bed and biting me?
Well, what have you been doing over the last 3 to 7 days?
More like 3 to 7 years.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I know, and I do have to say that I'm like, well, this has been happening for the past year. Again, like you said, we're not asking you to change your routine. Just keep doing the same. But like in their mind, they're like, oh my God, this person's here. She's going to fix it. I will never be bit again. And then suddenly, I'm supposed to perform this magic trick that they'll never be bit again.
Yeah. Well, the vacuuming is going to solve a lot of that. There's going to be a massive reduction in bites just because of the vacuuming. And the rest you can't get to anyway, whatever you're spraying, it's you can't guarantee you're going to be able to spray everywhere, and they will come out for a blood meal. That's the one thing that bed bugs are reliable on, is that they can only move from one life stage to the next if they've had a blood meal. So they're going to come out as long as they get that stimulation from carbon dioxide. They're coming out. Doesn't matter where they're hiding. So we can rely on it. We've got this. Can I go on a tangent?
Of course.
Please do. That's what you're here for.
We've got this collaborator in the UK, Richard Naylor, and he's built these 2 bedrooms in his parents' back garden. And he set them up as bed bug sort of experimental centers. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he does all of these trials, and to really understand bed bug biology and products and efficacy and things like that. And one of the coolest things that he's done, and I think it's one of his earlier experiments, he has 2 rooms, and he released in a sort of a vial 20 bed bugs. So he keeps bed bugs in vials, and he feeds them on himself because he's very eccentric. And but we know a lot of those people, don't we? And I fed them on myself as well. So who am I to criticize?
It's half my customer
literally
base.
folded pieces of card. Okay, so they huddle up in the folds of the card. So he had the two bedrooms, and he opened up a vial of 20 bed bugs in each bedroom, and he slept in one bedroom and left the other bedroom empty. And the next morning he woke up and he looked at the vial in the room where he had slept, and all of the bed bugs had left. And because these rooms are very Spartan, there's hardly any furniture, he was able to find every single bed bug, and they'd all fed on him. And harbored around the little cracks and crevices of the bed.
Wow.
We went next door into the empty room, and not a bed bug had left the vial. Not
Oh,
a one.
wow.
No kidding.
And that is how reliable that carbon dioxide thing is.
Mm-hmm.
And this was a replicated experiment.
Uh-huh.
He did it time and time again,
Wow.
and the same results. They do not move if there's no carbon
Mm-hmm.
dioxide being emitted in the room. And hearing that, and I heard it from him at one of the bedbug summits in Denver, I think it was, and I just thought, yeah, this really solidifies our sort of recommendations that you don't have to do massive prep, you just have to live normally. They will
Mm-hmm.
come. They will come.
That's awesome.
I was hoping sometime during the course of this episode that I would have my mind blown. So you finally did it, Nina. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. But before we got on to some other questions, I wanted to touch base on the application, and as far as the safety of the technicians that are applying this. I know that there are PPE requirements. One of them is a respirator or a mask, if you will. Has there been some situations where applicators who may or may not have worn the proper PPE have shown adverse effects to the treatment?
We haven't had any reports. Nobody has come back to us and oh no, one lady did actually.
Mm-hmm.
So a female tech who has a lot of allergies said that she experienced hay fever symptoms after spraying
Mm-hmm.
Aprehend. So and I asked her about masks, and she said, well, I'm not always very careful, and actually, I might spray with a mask, but then I'll go back in and sort of move things around again, and I'm not wearing the mask. So she realized that she probably had to be more careful with it, just so that she didn't get hay fever symptoms every time she sprayed. And I think she upgraded her mask from just a sort of an R or P95 to the actual rubber respirator with the
Mm-hmm.
two
Yeah, the
canisters on each
NIOSH
side.
type.
And
Yeah.
and that worked fine for her because there was a much better seal, and it meant that she was never exposed to it. But that's the only, in the last 7 years, is the only time I've ever heard of it. And it's only as serious as hay fever symptoms in the
Mm-hmm.
kind of people that develop allergies to stuff a lot. And for our clients, we're asking them to stay out for 4 hours, by which time all of the droplets have settled, and then there's no
Mm-hmm.
further risk for them anyway. So they're not
Mm-hmm.
inhaling it; they're not at risk of anything. A lot of people
Certainly.
ask me, "Oh, look, I've got a client who's got COPD, or a client with lung cancer, a client that's pregnant, or that's a newborn baby. Should I do anything different?" And the interesting thing is, and I guess it's obvious in a way, is the EPA writes the label and the label restrictions on what you should do based on the most vulnerable people in society. So, because they don't know whose house you're going to spray, so
Mm-hmm.
how could they possibly have one set of rules for one person? Well, maybe there is a product that has that, but actually they have to assume that you're going to be spraying in the bedroom of the most vulnerable members of society, and the label is written for that. So you don't need to change your rules, but you do need to make sure always
Mm-hmm.
that people are out for 4 hours. Obviously, you don't want to be spraying medical equipment, and
Oh, sure.
CPAP
Mm-hmm.
machines are like a nightmare, aren't they? Because they are bed
Yes,
bug harborages.
they are. They
And they
are.
provide a bridge for bed bugs to travel from the
Mm-hmm.
CPAP machine into the bed where the person
Mm-hmm.
is. So, they are difficult. You can't spray, particularly the mask part of those things, but you do need to
Mm-hmm.
check them. And if they've got bed bugs in them, maybe a heat treatment is a good thing. Maybe you
Mm-hmm.
ask your client to put them in the freezer.
Mm-hmm.
They need to be dealt with. That is
Mm-hmm.
one of those things on my list of things that will come back to bite you.
Oh,
CPAP,
sure, sure.
you know,
Yeah.
yikes. Yeah. But yeah, don't spray medical equipment. And other than
Right.
that,
Yeah.
follow the label and you will be
Mhm.
safe for everybody.
Very good. I was, and I want to add something. Just because, Dr. Jenkins is talking about the, how safe it is, and that we do, that they did only notice that, to see that one person had an issue with it. It is not a reason to not follow all the label instructions regarding your protective equipment. Always follow that label when it comes to keeping yourself safe. So I don't want to, this is a very, it seems like it's a very low physically impact product, which is awesome, but, err on the side of safety every time, cheese bags. So, um, is there any other, Jack, you got anything?
Well, it's about not about Aprehend, but about bed bugs overall. She had a question. Yoko, my lady Yoko, had a question. She worked at a place where people were having to take psychotropic drugs for whatever issues they were having, and some of those beds at that residential unit had bed bugs, and she was finding that people on those psychotropic drugs were getting bit more than the people who weren't on them. Is there something to that? Because Brad and I were talking about that a little over a week ago, and he thought maybe it was just the drugs that cause a more of an aggravated histamine reaction. Do you know if there's anything to that at all?
Yeah, I mean that's interesting. So is it that they're being bitten more, or was it on inspection their beds had more bed bugs around them than those people that were not on drugs? So yeah,
That's a good
what
question. Yeah, I don't know.
which one is it? I think maybe the reaction thing that makes sense that the drugs are affecting it. If there are actually more bed bugs biting people on the drugs, well, that's interesting, isn't it? You got
It is. I didn't know maybe something was
so
exuding from their pores or what have you that attracted them, or I
might
had
be.
no idea. It's an interesting question. I just thought maybe you might have some insight.
It is.
Yeah.
No,
Hopefully
there's
somebody
lots
that
of
hears the,
mysteries.
yeah. Hopefully somebody that's listened to the show might have some insight into that as well. Another thing I wanted to ask, was, bed bugs are definitely affected by Apprehend. In fact, I just emailed you some pictures. These are actually the first pictures that I actually have of bed bugs that have succumbed to the fungus. And which I thought was really cool. I just got these the other day. I thought, I need to send those to her. But other pests, I know that this particular strain of fungus is used on other pests, but in other formulations. Has there been any? Have you done any studies or research on other pests? German cockroaches, for instance.
Yeah. So I've not done a lot of work on German cockroaches, but we have a lot of anecdotal evidence from the field that
Hmm.
they are affected by apprehend treatments, and there's no reason why they wouldn't be. So, however, are cockroaches as predictable as bed bugs? We know where bed bugs are going. If the person's there, that's where they're heading. With
Hmm.
with cockroaches, they're sort of like, I don't know, seeking behavior is more random, isn't it? Um,
Hmm. Hmm.
it would be far more difficult to do a good strategic application for cockroaches than it would be
Hmm.
for bed bugs. So that's one hesitation that I have. The other
Sure.
is that it definitely takes longer for cockroaches to die. Like I said at the beginning, bed
Sure.
bugs
Hmm.
died so quickly, much more quickly than any of the
Right.
other pests that we had looked at, and probably it would be 7 to 14 days for a cockroach, by which
Hmm.
time they've probably, if they're females, laid egg cases. Are you going to get population control, or are you just going to kill some roaches?
Hmm. Hmm.
So we have
Gotcha.
we have hesitated to add cockroaches to the label because we want
Sure.
to really believe that the product's going to do the right job.
Hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, incidental death of cockroaches, you'll probably see
Hmm.
it, but will you get
Sure.
control? I'm not convinced.
Hmm.
Particularly,
I
gel baits are so good these days, aren't they? I don't think we could compete.
Gel baits are great, and we also have some non-repellent residuals such as Alpine WSG that are doing a great job on them. I was just thinking, one of the modes of action with Apprehend is taking advantages of the bed bug's gregarious behavior. Not being social, but they do tend to hang out together a lot. German cockroaches in specific are the same way in that aspect. So that was why I thought it might be something that was y'all looked into, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah. I think
okay.
there would certainly be some transfer action, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, no, I've held back on the roaches.
Okay, sure.
Mhm.
If cockroaches die from apprehend, we'll just call it a happy accident.
Yeah.
Yeah, if your house is especially funky, you might get some, collateral damage
Oh,
for the cockroaches, right? And believe me, we've
Jack.
seen those houses. We've
Yeah,
seen that shit.
Jack. I'm gonna send you some pictures of the last house I did with apprehend, and I don't know if I did the right thing or not. I mean, I did follow the label, but oh my gosh, this was the worst the worst bed bug infestation I had ever seen. They did have German cockroaches, of course, but um, I couldn't believe. I mean, we had okay. This guy had his bed frame was made out of 2x12 lumber. This sucker, and it was king size. So this sucker frame weighed about 300 pounds, and
Ugh.
I had to clean and jerk it. It's like get it up against the wall so I could get in there and actually see what's going on and do things. Well, there was no mistaking that there were bed bugs in there because the cast exoskeletons that were around the edges of that were this deep. And
Oh.
when I pressed the guy on how long he's been dealing with it, oh, it's been about a year. I'm like, a year, my ass.
Yeah,
You've
right,
been
dude.
dealing. You're probably the reason they came over to the Western Hemisphere to begin with. It's like these have been around more than a bloody year. So, I did my thing, and I told him, I said, I'm gonna be back in 30 days, and I'll do an inspection, but I know I'm going to be treating this dude again, and but I am really looking forward to seeing what's going on because I've done multiple treatments with Apprehend, but none of them were at the infestation level, Nina, that this one has been. So
That's my favorite,
I
honestly.
am 2 weeks away from visiting this dude again, and I cannot wait.
No, can I come?
I wish you're going to be in New Zealand at the time. But anyway,
Ah, oh my
I said, but I will send you pictures. In fact, I have some before pictures I'm going to send you
good,
anyway.
good,
Yeah, it was astounding. Um,
great.
and I immediately went home and stripped in my garage and walked into my house without a stitch of clothes on. And my wife was
Bow,
like,
picka, wow,
"Hello."
wow. Hey,
Yeah,
baby.
bow chicka bow wow
Yeah,
my ass. It's like
pornos
no,
start that way.
it's like the shower's that way, Brad. Hit it.
Now,
If
So
whenever I walk into the house naked anymore at my age, my wife knows I've just been in a really nasty house, and I'm just not that's it.
now, now, Dr. Nina, when we did a pre-interview with you, and when we did, you told us the story about having these 2 jars of bed bugs that you needed to keep alive and fed. And I would love for everybody else to hear that if you could tell us that story again.
yeah, they were babies. They weren't feeding off of our artificial feeders, and we had so many of them. We really, really needed to bring them on. So the jars are about the size of a jelly jar, and the folded paper that they hide in goes right up to the top of the jar, and then there's mesh over the top. And so I had two of these, and had to feed them. So the best thing to do was just put them on the floor, and I sat on the floor and put one calf over the top of each of the jars, and all the baby bed bugs are coming up there, and you can't feel bed bugs biting you normally, but there were so many thousands of babies biting me. It was
Oh my
like
God.
pins and needles. I could feel them sucking my blood. And so anyway, I sat there. I think it gave them about 10 to 15 minutes, and removed the jar, and I got rings around my calves because of the weight of my legs on the ring of the jar. But after half an hour, that ring had gone, and there was no sign of any bed bugs having bitten me at all. So that was pretty cool. And next day nothing, next day nothing. It was 7 days before I looked at the back of my calf, and there were these tiny little red pin dots on both, and then
Oh,
in
wow.
nice, jammed jar shaped circle on both calves. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. 7 days later, and then the next day those dots are bigger, and the next day they're even bigger, and over the next 7 days they grew into one great big sort of massive round, jar sized welt that was sort
Oh,
of like red purple. And on both calves in the summer, my husband told me I wasn't to wear shorts, and or at least I wasn't to go anywhere with him wearing shorts, because it was just so disgusting. But yeah, gradually it went down, and it wasn't even that itchy. But the reaction was really, it looked bad. But I guess it was the numbers. There were so many.
oh,
But
wow.
that was interesting. So yeah, my bed bug reaction is a 7-day one. So that's worrying. I could sleep in a hotel, and I'm not going to know until a week whether I got bitten by bed bugs. So
Hmm.
lucky I've got magic fairy dust at home, isn't it?
That's
Which is
wild.
what I now refer to Apprehend at, or always as, because well, I think it was the first meeting that I went to. It's an MPA meeting in where was it? It must have been the Denver Bedbug Summit, or rather. There was a guy from Norway. I forget his name, actually. And, I'd given this talk about, this new miracle product, Apprehend. I don't think we'd even registered it yet. And there was a mixer with beer, and he came up to me and he said, so you have magic fairy dust then, do you? Being very sarcastic. And I thought, that's cool. I'm going to call it that from now on. So the skepticism we had from the industry was phenomenal when we launched this product, and I completely understand it. Right? It sounds too good to be true, and we're all told, if it sounds too good to be true, it almost certainly is. So it's a leap of faith to get into to Apprehend, and I want to personally thank, and I don't know how many people are out there that were early adopters in 2017, 2018, but thank you for your faith in us. Thank you for your faith in magic fairy dust. It's as it turns out, it's pretty good.
Now, don't you just get a little bit of personal satisfaction from like Mr. Magic Fairy Dust? You going, yeah, eat
Yeah.
that shit, and right in your face, in your face.
Yes. I can't deny it.
Brad, we
Nobody
can't hear
hears
you
you, Brad.
again.
Nobody hears you.
Oh, for Christ's sake! All right, let's do this again. Nina, sometimes you get you do everything you can, and sometimes the only thing you have left is magic fairy dust. So it's good that the magic fairy dust is there. So another question, just kind of as far as the gospel that is Apprehend. How many countries are y'all approved in?
Well, I don't know whether it's 2 or 3. What do we call Puerto Rico, America?
It's a territory,
It's a
we
protectorate,
pay
yeah.
taxes to protect it, so sure, it's
Yeah,
America.
okay. So we've got Puerto Rico, the US, and Canada. And we've got partners working on registration in Europe.
Uh-huh.
So that's coming, although Europe's going to be really slow. We think the EPA is slow, but Europe takes the biscuit.
Gotcha.
And and while I'm out in New Zealand, I'm going to be working on registration there for New Zealand and Australia, hopefully.
Okay.
So we are
Gotcha.
working towards world domination.
We hope so. I think this does
Our
need to take
shared
over the world.
incentive.
And if you do need testimonials, we are here. So.
Thank
And
you
I bet
so
you down in
much.
South America, Mario would be happy to try that stuff
Oh,
out.
Mario Felipe. Oh my gosh, my dear friend in Brazil. He would love that. So then,
Cool.
Yeah, if you need any people to test it out in the field, I'm sure we can get you in touch with Mario if you're able to do that field testing with it. I
Oh,
bet you
great.
he'd love to.
Well,
Yeah. Well,
so
we do have a Brazilian speaker that can work through that as well. So Giovanni's from Brazil. I
oh,
think he'd
okay.
love to see Apprehend in his
Hmm.
home country. So I think there's a possibility for sure.
Hot dog.
That's terrific. That's great. So I know you're not as far as marketing and whatnot. Um, can I mention that the pouch that comes with it needs a little work?
Well, which pouch have you got?
Okay, I've got the pouch that actually says Apprehend on it, and it's got the two cloth loops on the outside.
Uh-oh.
Um, yeah. Okay.
Tell me about it.
For one thing, the belt that comes with it is not built for the average American technician. It needs to be a little bit bigger. But no, I had. Okay, let's go with this part. I had a situation with the Paula. Where'd you go? But with the pump or the applicator itself,
Oh yeah.
I had an issue where I spilled some. Okay, I'll admit it. I was ignorant and did not empty. Oh, there you go. She brought props. Oh, you got a better one than I've got.
No, that's the old
But
one. That's the old
that
one. We junked
no,
that.
that's Rambo style right there. Now the one I have actually has the Apprehend logo on it. It's got
Yeah.
the two cloth loops, and it just ain't big enough. And
So the problem with that one is we need to make the waist belt longer.
yeah, we need a longer waist belt and maybe a deeper pouch in total. Because when I did manage to get it around me, but as I was like I would be bending over to apply stuff, all like the pump itself just fell out, the battery and everything. But that's just anecdotal stuff.
That's weird.
But I'm just trying to fill time here on the show.
Well, I can.
Paula?
Yes, Paul. What's up?
Yes, Paula.
So here was another question. I think everybody always, and I feel like at some point, every product's going to work. It's just how long and how many times over and over. So someone
Hmm.
asked a question about, okay, the PT Alpine flea and bed bug aerosol spray. How is that? How is that not as good as Apprehend? Well, number one, I'm like, okay, well, the residual number one, and number two, you have a 40-ounce can of an aerosol. I mean, how many of those cans you gonna have to use? You
Hmm.
know,
Hmm.
Yeah.
so
I guess
That's
you've got
a
to be strategic. So I think I don't know what the official residual is on PT bed bug and tick or whatever, but I think if I'm going to be my own salesperson, the difference between Apprehend and a chemical, even like Crossfire, which is amazing, right? I mean, if I want to pick our best competitor, it's Crossfire for sure. Um, we still have the advantage that a bed bug only has to take 2 steps on Apprehend. It's my I have this thing. It's like taking steps on with wet feet on dry sand. 2 steps is all you need, and the bottom of your feet is covered with sand. And basically, the bed bugs are walking through a sand barrier, right? And 2 steps, they've got the spores. They don't have to sit there and absorb toxins or walk a mile or anything. If it's a chemical, they have to be in contact with that product for sufficient time to absorb the toxins. And I think that's where we have the advantage, in addition to then the bed bugs taking the spores back as well. So you're getting this additional effect where the bed bugs are working for you, getting the spores back to the areas that you can't get to, and the chemicals don't have that either.
yeah.
That's, I mean, that's the
that's
selling point right there.
again,
That's
that's
the major selling
beautiful.
point.
Yeah. I never thought, Nina, if you ever wanted to go in sales, I think you're a ringer. I mean, because I'm not only do you see it from a scientific point of view, but you also see it from the point of view of convenience for the customer and everything like that. So yeah, I mean, you definitely are making some serious sense here, and one of the things that really turns me on about your product is the fact that it isn't a chemical. per se. And with a chemical treatment, even with Crossfire, you have to apply so much more of that product in order to get the same effect that we can with only just a few ounces of Aprehend. And with the way that the houses are being built these days are a lot more airtight, things like that. That's important to people. They're not they're not having to sit in there and breathe a bunch of chemicals and everything like that. Because all chemicals have this bad habit of breaking down into other components that could be problematic and stuff like that. A product like Aprehend, you don't have to worry about stuff like that, and it's just one less thing to worry about.
Nice.
Now, Nina, here's the question I think a lot of guys out that are listening are going to be wondering if they want to take this to their branch manager or their service manager. Sorry to say, some branch and service managers aren't as technically minded. And here comes the train, by the way, if you can hear that. But right
It's
across
late.
the street from my house is a train line. But how would a technician, an everyday run-of-the-mill technician, take this to their branch manager or service manager and say, hey, this is why we should be using this? If you could sum it up, because generally they only get like a couple minutes in front of their manager before they get whisked away for something else. How would they bring this to them to try to get the muckety mucks to introduce it into their business?
I would say so. There's this product, and PMPs around the country are using this, and they're having great success. And I know we have success with our protocol, but what they're doing is they're cutting down the number of visits they have to do, and they're cutting down the prep that people have to perform prior to the service visit. So you can actually eradicate bed bugs with two visits, one initial visit and then a follow-up, and normally the bed bugs are gone. But if you're there, then you do a second application, and in almost every single case, unless we've got seriously problematic clients, the bed bugs are gone. So it's going to cut the cost of our services, because time is money, and if I'm not spending additional time driving to the service on 2-week follow-ups, doing the 2-week follow-up application, and then going back again for a third visit, that's a huge saving, where I can be spending my time doing other services that will also bring in cash. So we'll become more cost competitive with our competitors, and I'll be able to do more jobs with the time that I have. So it seems like a good product for that. It does require some investment. So the spray kit that you need to apply it is about $200, but then that will last forever.
Mm-hmm.
It needs a bigger belt, by the way. And the product, as a bottle, it's quite expensive. It's something in the region of $140, and that will treat up to 5 2-bedroom apartments. But the amount of time that we will save, both in the application, which is much faster, and in the reduction in the number of follow-ups that are required, means that we will be saving money over the long run, and our clients will be happier because they're not having to do the prep. So we just need to do the training, because it's a little bit different. But this is the way that bedbug work is going, and if we don't jump on it, our competitors are going to be underpricing us and successful, and we will be losing money.
Now the training, that's fantastic. And the training on the Aprehend's website, I'm sure there's links to information to get that training for your technicians. Oh, yeah. Great, because I'll be putting that on the episode information, how to get to Aprehend, and I'm also going to put it on our webpage as well. I just wanted to make sure that it was there so I could link people to it. That's fantastic. It really is.
Yeah, we've got a whole YouTube channel, but there's nothing like actually having a discussion, one-to-one. So we have Zoom technology now. So if your team wants to take up Aprehend, take a look at the training videos, get a feel for it, and then book a training session for your team with me. I do it any time of the day or night. I'll set up the Zoom. All you guys have to do is turn up. In fact, you can even do it you can turn up from your service vehicle and participate in the Zoom, and we'll discuss, any questions that you have. We can run through slides and we can work out how Aprehend can best fit with your protocols, whether it involves heat or not, and and make sure that you've got something that's tailored to the way that your company works. So we do that for free anytime.
Amazing.
Perfect.
Absolutely amazing.
That's terrific. So, Nina, when we talked on the meet and greet, I told you I would probably mispronounce you at least a couple of times. For those of you that don't know, I have an Aunt Nina, and it's spelled the same way. But Dr. Jenkins, it's been a complete pleasure for us to have you on the show, and we appreciate you going along. That was my wife calling. Okay, let's get it on as her ringtone. Okay. She's going to wonder what's going on because I just blew off the call.
Hey, baby.
Nina, my wife is dog sitting right now for someone, so she's somewhere else. But anyway, I can't wait to tell her that this was on the show. But anyway. So, we appreciate you going along with us, and so you've been a wealth of information and a terrific sport, and you've tolerated Jack and myself, and so for that we are eternally grateful.
Oh, most definitely.
Yes, and again, Aprehend is one of those products that we are definitely going to be talking about. Not just tonight, but in future episodes, and also
sure.
on Pest Control Humor Depot, which, as you know, is my favorite group. I wish you all the best, and I hope that we can add to the success and the growth of your product. And we're just really excited to have you here, and actually even more excited to have this stuff available to us so we can take care of a problem that's been bugging us for freaking years.
No pun intended.
No, pun was actually intended. So
you're winding this up, but I want us to go through the list of things that come back to bite you, how your clients.
Please
I'm
do.
sorry. My bad.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
So
all right. If you got the time, so do we.
Oh.
please. God, yes.
So I thought the best one that I would ever get was the guy who slept with his gun under his pillow. And whenever the guy with the PMP came in to do the application, of course, he had his gun in his holster and he would leave for the treatment. And he did everything right. He washed, laundered, dried at high heat all his bed sheets. The PMP did a thorough job with Aprehend. But when he came back 30 days later, the guy's bed is infested with bed bugs. And it's going, you didn't clean your sheets. You didn't clean your sheets. No, I did. Okay, well, we'll do it again. So off they go. They do it again. Gun is in the holster, and, so several times this happened. And then eventually the guy realized that the gun was completely infested and he slept with it under his pillow.
Oh, wow.
Introducing the bed bugs into the bed.
Oh, wow.
Right after the application, every single time. So, so the gun, the Glock under the pillow. Watch out for that one, guys. But then it got better. Because that wasn't that one. So then there's the senior living facility where there's a guy. Again, same thing. Apparently everything is going well, except every time the PMP goes back to check, the bed is crawling with bed bugs. And it's like, well, how come we've got bed bugs in the bed? They're not anywhere else. They're in the bed. And it took a while before they realized that this guy had colonies of bed bugs under his toenails.
Oh no!
Fuck? Holy shit!
Yeah.
Wow!
What the
You have got to
fuck?
be shitting me.
No. Thank you, Eric
Oh,
Braun from Rent-A-Kill, for that story.
oh, good Lord. Finally, ridicule does something worth a damn.
There's more. There's more.
There's more?
There's more. There's more. I'm doing this in chronological order of discovery. The next one was a GPS probation tracker around the ankle.
Oh, an ankle bracelet.
Infested. What do you call them?
We call them ghetto jewelry down here.
Ghetto jewelry infested with bed
Woo.
bugs. That's
Oh,
what you.
man.
They kind of
And
had it
then,
coming, though.
guess
Wow.
from this week. God, where was I this week? I can't even remember where I've been this week. Oh my God. Ah.
Been that kind of
Well,
week.
I'm sorry, guys, because I'm not
You're
going to
good.
give
Sorry.
you the credit.
Take your time.
However, the story is there was a lady who decided that her wig was too loose, so she had superglued the wig to her head, and
What?
the bed bugs were in the wig. So
Ooh.
again, head on the pillow, bed bugs in the
Mhm.
wig, constantly reinfesting the bed.
Holy
Oh
shit.
yes.
What?
Cleveland. I was in Cleveland. That story comes to you from Cleveland, Ohio. Right. God, I remembered.
Cultural hub of the universe.
Is that the lady that did that spray Gorilla Glue on her head and was going to sue
I
because it
was
stuck
going
to
to
her head?
ask about that.
Is that what that was?
I
Did she
Man.
Gorilla Glue it to her head?
I'm sorry. I am fairly vain, but I would never glue a goddamn wig on my head.
Oh my God, no!
Oof.
How about a
Holy
bed bug
shit.
infested wig on your head?
So since we're doing
Oh,
the
not even that.
nasty of the nasty, I'm going to ask the question: have you ever seen? We'll probably say it could be nursing homes. It could be something else. Someone bedridden. The bed bugs in between the folds of the skin.
Oh, I haven't looked in any folds of skin. Oh, I know.
Ugh.
But
Some things are above everyone's pay grade.
I was at a senior living facility with one of our local PMPs, and they had a problem with they couldn't control the bed bugs, and it was like they kept popping up all over the place. And we went into this elderly gentleman's unit room with the housing manager, and he was blind, this guy, and it seemed like he was, his room was always quite badly infested. And we were in there. He sat down and he said, "Look, I need to get my shoes on, and then I will leave." And he picked up his shoes, and the PMB said, "Hey, hang on a bit." And he picked up his shoe and turned it upside down, and the sole had scuffed off completely, revealing that honeycomb
Mhm.
that's inside the sole of the shoe. And it was absolutely packed with bed bugs. Absolutely.
Oh.
So these shoes were sort of like kept under the bed where he could find them because he's blind. And of course, every time there was a service visit, he'd get the shoes on and walk out. And anyway, the PMP is looking at this, and he handed it to the housing manager, saying, "Hey, look at this." And she put her hand out to take the shoe, and then looked at the shoe and saw that it was packed with bed bugs, and whipped her hand away. The PMP had let go of the shoe, so it fell on the floor, and bed bugs scattered in all directions. And the only thing that scattered faster was the housing manager, who just ran screaming from the unit.
Oh, good grief. Oh, man.
But
Nina, I hate you have better
so
stories
right.
than me.
He would walk bed bugs throughout the entire unit every day as he went down to breakfast.
Oh,
He went
yeah.
in the,
Yeah,
in
just
the,
trotting
in the
along
gardens,
and just
everywhere.
leaving them. Wow. Man, I
A
hate
lot
you
of the
have better stories than me.
people being blind, they tend to shuffle their feet a little more, so I could see running them
Well,
soles
sure.
right off the bottom of
Yeah.
their shoes. So
Yeah.
and the dude's blind. It's not like he can see. He took the soles off of them. Holy shit! I mean,
He had no
Man.
idea.
good God!
grief.
I'm still skeeved out about the toenail thing. That just
Yeah, that's got to be the winner right there. I mean, the toenails. Good
That's just
grief.
fucking nasty as shit.
Man.
Oh my
Man.
God.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Wow.
All right. I'll stop now. But everybody, listeners, call me with more creepy stories, please. I want to add to my
Hmm.
list. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Give her a call or put them on Pest Control Humor Depot. Message us. We'll get them to her. Whatever it takes. She's yeah. Again, it's like I said, like for the third time. I hate you have better stories than me.
Well,
But
she's a
and
she's a cheese bag now. You can tag her in the post.
totally, yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah. And Dr. Jenkins is now a member of Pest Control Humor Depot. So yeah, if you want to tag her on something, let her rip. And I gotta warn you, Nina, that yeah, you're gonna have a really good time here on our group.
For sure.
Paula's embarrassed. Paula serenades us from time to time. Uh, yeah. Well, it's not like she's not going to find out anyway.
I get a notion. There's a
You are the
song.
voice of Paula. You are the voice of a generation. So don't be ashamed. Don't be ashamed. Embrace it. So anyway, so yeah, gosh. So all right, Jack. I already tried to take us out. It's your turn now.
All right, boys and girls and cheese bags everywhere. Thank you for joining us tonight at Tales from the Crawl Space. Thank you so much to the First Lady of PCHD, Paula Benedict. And a special thank you to Nina, not Nina Jenkins, Dr. Nina Jenkins with Aprehend Bed Bug Treatment. Thank you so very much for being on the show. It's been an absolute blast.
It has. Thank you. I've enjoyed every minute.
Now, what we're going to do next week is still kind of up in the air a little bit. We'll make an announcement very soon. But until then, we ask you all to bug off.
Bug off.
Bug off.
Bug off.